Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of the Educational Leadership Podcast. We have another amazing guest, but before we introduce our guest, I want to give a shout out to our co-host, Corinne Fridge.
Hello, I'm so excited. I always love our podcast, and this one is going to be extra special because Ana is with us today. Yay!
Yes, Ana, President of MASBA, board member, Manor ISD, making awesome things happen in public education. And I don't want to steal your thunder. So Ana, kind of tell us a little bit about your background, how you got to where you are today, and then let's talk about something you're passionate about in public ed that's happening today.
Well, my name is Ana Cortez, and it's one N, so that's why I pronounce it Ana. And it's Cortez. And I am part of the Manor ISD School Board. I currently also serve as the president of MASBA. And a little bit about my background and how it's going to feed into my passion. So I grew up in a very, very poor household. My only language at home was Spanish. So it's really funny because we were in East Texas. And it was really difficult for the Latino community to get proper representation in really serving the Latino students. So it's really funny because when I was going to school there, we weren't allowed to ride the school bus. So we weren't allowed to even speak Spanish. So I remember when I was going to school, I was so terrified because my only language at home was Spanish. And if I spoke a single word in English, back then they would paddle you. So it was just very terrifying, my very first experience of going to school. So I was the only child in my house, amongst my siblings that was born here. All my family was born in Mexico. So my mom, my dad, all my siblings were born in Mexico. I was the one that was born here. I was actually born in Hearn, Texas. So the reason I'm saying that is because later on, I'm going to bring it up. So, it was very difficult for me to really understand literacy, what they were teaching, because I wasn't really connecting and I wasn't really feeling being accepted at that time. So I do recall that a lot of the Hispanic parents, the Latino, you would have, Ecuadorians, Salvadorians, Mexicans, Venezuelans, everyone take turns in picking up the elementary students, the middle school students, week by week, and picking them up from school as well, until the NAACP came in and helped the Latino community. So we came together so we could have, somebody represent us, and we were allowed to ride the bus to school, but we still couldn't ride the bus back home until it finally evolved. And now I know a lot of my friends teaching there in the school district and everything, but it really, I think the difficulties that we all face, especially in how diverse our state is something that kind of doesn't go away. It just reminds me of how I grew up. You know what I mean? So there's still a lot of work. We have made a lot of progress, but I think there's still more work to be done and more resources that we need to add or advocate for.
Yeah, I didn't know that about. We hear about history, and because it didn't necessarily affect me, and you don't realize what's happening to other people. You hear about it and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what would that have been like. And so thank you so much for stepping up and leading. I want to tell a quick story. I told Gary, this is going to be, when he gets my friends on here, it's almost like he has to probably push in for a time to speak. But I have a definite affection and friendship and want to see women succeed. And I remember meeting you in Galveston at governance camp. We both ordered the same appetizer, and I was like, and she's sitting, and you were sitting next to a dear friend now that we share, Corey Hamilton Diagas. And I was like, I want to know them. Like, I want to know who they are, and I want them to like me, and I want to like them, and I want to love them. And oh my gosh. So
I
moving
remember.
forward, when you became president of MASBA, another moment I'll never forget, when you shared your gift to us. Do you remember? I'm sure you did, because you had to practice your dance. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like, again, what would I do? Like, what gift would I give if I became president, of MASBA? And that was just such a delightful, it was such a delightful moment in time, Ana. I mean, you just are so selfless in the way that you give, and so spirited. And the people that are listening on Spotify, if you could see her beautiful face shining through and her smile, it's just contagious. And so you inspire me.
Oh, thank you, Corinne. And
yes,
and I think it's just, we are all in the same space, and we all have a reason why we're serving in our district. And so you said the gift, I mean, that was the gift that kind of took me away from all the obstacles that I had. That was my way of really, I don't know, getting to know myself better and really motivating myself to express myself and what I love to do. So I wanted to show that to all my peers. I was like, I love to dance, right? But that's just what kept me going through all the obstacles and challenges I had while I was going through school. So I still remember.
it was beautiful. And I don't know that we videoed that. I mean,
it was a minute and 10 seconds, and it was almost every genre of Latino music.
It was beautiful. And I love that you're saying that it was a way, I'm hearing you say that it's like it pushed you out of your comfort zone in a way to be vulnerable with us and share that dance, because really at that point in history, we were all going through so much collectively as a world because of COVID-19, but also just the work of a trustee, and then taking on a leadership role in MASBA. So what has that been like? So not just your district, but leading an organization that is, and I guess tell us a little bit about, we've had other guests that have talked to other past presidents. Willie was with us before as a guest. But tell us about MASBA and why. I know why it means so much to you, but share that with our guests.
Okay, so when I first became a trustee, I felt a little lost, going back to my background. I used to be a migrant farm worker. So my parents were very poor. And so they would take me out of school, my brothers and I, 3 months early to go work up north in the fields and come back 3 months late. So we were already behind. And I mean, I was working in the fields, in the wheat, sugar beets and the bean fields. And then my dad would tell me and tell us, and I would never forget. He's like, if you do not get an education, this is where you're going to end up working. And I go, there is no way I want to end up working in the fields. I have to really break every barrier. We were already disadvantaged with, the Spanish speaking language at home, being taken out 3 months early, coming back 2 to 3 months later, and then not having something that I would really connect with. So, I mean, it really brought back when I really didn't want to become a trustee in the very beginning. I was like, oh, there's no way. But I was very passionate in my local community to give back for many reasons. And I saw a lot of our families and communities, I saw myself in them. And so people actually really pushed me to become a school board member. So when I did, it's a lot, you really need to take a whole course, really of our roles and responsibilities. Yeah. So I do remember going to one event I think it was in 2015. And I really, really connected with, the culture, because I am very rooted in my Hispanic culture just because of how I was raised. I
Mhm.
didn't hear it, any English music. I saw only telenovelas. One TV, one channel, and the whole family saw.
Yes.
So then I met several people and it just felt like family.
Mhm.
I met Willie, I met, the Godfather. I met so many, the Godfather, so
The-
many people, and I really connected. But I really didn't know who they were, but I was just so curious. I was asking questions. I really felt the weight and the responsibility of leading in our district, and I wanted to do the best I could. And that was my way, my connection with the organization. So then I guess they thought, oh, look, this Miss Cortez is very passionate. Maybe we should. So they started talking to me about it. And I was like, of course. And then, I got very involved. And then there was a time, Corrine, that I was the only woman on my
I
board.
remember.
And, I really liked the feeling of familia. And I felt like all of them were like my brothers.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
kind of said, guys, Mexican American School Board Association, look at the room.
Mhm.
It's a stereotype. So then, they heard me and they're really, they understood. And so it just takes a joint effort in really trying to move and the organization forward. Now we have more women on the board. Then I became president, and now we hired our first women executive director in the 50 years of MASBA.
Mhm.
We've already hired, we're building a pipeline for our scholars across the state, not just only scholarships, but we're also hiring fellows. We have hired policy fellows to follow the SBOE and the state
Mhm.
legislator. So I'm really, really excited. Of course, there's growing pains with change and growing an organization, but we're all excited. I hear a lot of positive things about our organization, and I can't wait to see where it leads us. And then for the first time, ever, I think in February or March, they voted the director positions, a 2-year term, the president position for a 2-year term. So I'll be serving a 2-year term.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So yes, thank you. So I, and I couldn't have done it without
Mhm.
the buy-in, without the understanding of
Mhm.
everyone,
Mhm.
all of our board trustees like you, Corrine, and the
Mhm.
support, from you guys, from the TASB, the Black Caucus. And
Mhm.
I think this is really what we really need to do, is really unite to
Mhm.
make sure we really truly make impact in public
Mhm.
good.
You're doing a fabulous job. I mean, it's such an inspiration to me.
Yeah, very
Um,
inspiring, especially your story. Like, wow, that's I can't believe that was happening with the school bus when you were a kid, and so that was in East Texas.
yes.
Um,
I'm not
yeah,
going to
that's
name the
just
school district.
right. Well, I grew up in Channelview, so I'm a lot of my friends growing up, and I learned a little Spanish, and so a
And
little bit of Spanish, muy poquito, muy.
don't worry, yo te voy a enseñar. And Corrine too. Well, let me tell you this other story. So I moved back to the Rio Grande Valley as a 3rd grader. So remember, I'm in East Texas, so now I have the East Country accent. So then I go into to school, and I have the twang. So imagine speaking Spanish with an English country accent. Oh my
That's
gosh.
great.
So let me tell you, they asked me, okay, my favorite color, everything. And they're like, Ana, where were you born at? And I was like, I was born in Hearn, Texas. Yes, Ana, we know, but where? I was like, I was born in Hearn, Texas. I had to say it several times, and then I spelled it. I was born in Hearne, Texas, and they're like, oh, they thought I was saying here in Texas.
Oh,
So then they're like, oh, you're not a real, Mexican or whatever. So it was like, I really didn't fit in East Texas. I came to South Texas and I really, oh, you're not a real or, Hispanic, Latino. So then I moved to Austin.
I love that story. I want to know if you have tips for trustees and school leaders moving forward. I felt like the pandemic was a way for us to finally see, like, look, hatred wasn't working, arguing isn't working, always pushing and fighting. And so we have to work together. Like, I feel like maybe we made some progress, but I feel like in some ways we went backwards, and that's a little concerning right now.
Yeah.
And politics shouldn't play a part in public ed, but what are some of your best hopes, or if you could just like wave a policy into action? I mean, I know we have big words we use. When Willie was on, we talked about equity and equity gap. So I know there's some like really big academic things that we want, but do you have some, bring it down to like the lowest level and the heart wish, that little girl, that Ana Cortez as a young lady, that with this wish or something like that you can share with us?
Oh, that's a very good question. I mean, as a trustee, and then I think I see a lot of younger people running for office. And I think we do need a diversity in age and how the makeup of the board and everything, because I think we really do need to learn from each other. I would say, I think what has helped me the most, even sometimes in divided boards or whatever, is actually taking the time to hear someone's story, or, oh, now I understand, maybe why this person, advocates in this form or speaks in this way. Now I think I can better, change my approach, and vice versa for them. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. So, I just getting to know your board a little bit, and then I guess understanding each other's why. As a little girl, I just wish people would understand me. I felt like I had so many things against me. It's like I felt that people thought I wasn't going to become anything. So I remember there was a teacher that knew my, the background, my family, our economically disadvantaged situation. I mean, we didn't have hot running water. We were in the colonias way out there. So, and I had a problem with literacy connecting, and then she saw something in me, and she's like, Ana, here, try reading this book. It was this thick, big book. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even comprehend or, understand 1 or 2 pages of this other material you're giving me, and you want me to. So the book she gave me is Reign of Gold by Victor Villaseñor. I turned the pages, it just flipped something in my mind. And then, because it connected with, my family, with my story, with my abuelitos and everything. I really understood it very well. Corrine, I graduated top 10% with honors. And there was like, my mentality was, there is no way I'm going to end up working in the fields. I go, there is no room for failure. I'm going to keep on going. And I'm not going to be another statistic. So, and then now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm leading my community and leading a statewide organization. So
you're doing it with such passion and flair and beauty. Beauty is one of my favorite words on the planet, because I think to me it's beautiful when you see a teacher. To me, that's beauty right there. That teacher knew what kind of content to give you. That is one of the most, I mean, that's beautiful. That's perfect. That's what educators do. They bring about this beauty in others. And so you are doing an absolutely fabulous job. And I am so glad we had this time with you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited, and I congratulate you for another year with MASBA. It's one of my favorite conferences for sure. And that the event where you did your dance the year before, when I saw Willie dancing with his wife,
I know.
all those moments, and you just the 50th anniversary, wasn't that,
Oh,
that was just
yes,
an
that was
amazing event. It's like, it was these beautiful moments of celebration, and I'm so glad to know you as a friend, and I respect you so much as a leader.
likewise, Corinne.
Thank you. I want to let Gary ask the last question, because
Oh
I've
my gosh.
taken so much of the time today. So Gary,
Oh, I get that last
you
question.
get the
Oh
last
my
question.
Oh,
gosh.
let me make it a hard one. Let me make it
Make
a
it a
difficult
hard
one.
one. She can handle it. Make it really hard.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of came from the corporate world, right? And I got involved with public education and just, met Corinne, met so many amazing leaders such as yourself, right? And, it sounds like things have gotten better over the years, right? As far as like diversity, has it gotten better over the years?
I think we're making progress. We're making progress, but there's a political climate right now that I feel that is pushing some of the progress we've made backwards. So
Okay. No, I get it. I understand that. So when I first got involved in public education, I was surprised because it was new to me, right? That there was a MASBA chapter, a Black Caucus chapter, so there was like so many different, it was like a focus on race, right? Equity. Yeah. Coming into from the outside, coming in. So I guess, and then I know the demographics of Texas is changing too, right? Population is growing, and it's becoming more diverse just through growth. And what is like MASBA, let's say we get to a point where diversity is fairly equal across the state. What does like the MASBA and the Black Caucus and those types of groups, what do they look like when that happens? Because I just kind of question, eventually will it be seen as divisive, or will it, what will it look like at that point? I mean, what are your thoughts on
that? And this is where we partner with the Black Caucus and MASBA, and we support each other. So this is one of the things that we do. And I was reading my latest flyer that we just created actually yesterday for MASBA. So MASBA empowers school board members to be culturally conscious leaders for the advancement, of our community. So together, because we're very diverse. We're going to be, we want to make sure we empower, culturally conscious leaders where we really, I guess, represent, where we really connect with the community that we serve. I don't see it divisive. I hope it's not going to be divisive. I see this as an opportunity to really open doors. I mean, our district is very diverse, but on the MASBA portion, on the Latino community, actually, when the interim charges first came out at state legislature, we went to testify because they were trying to move certain agendas forward, but we show statistics with the 2020 census. There are over 3.5 million Latinos under the age of 18. So this is a 2020 census. Remember, a lot of people were afraid of filling out the 2020 census. This is only data from the people that filled out the 2020 census. So talk about 3.5 million Latinos under the age of 18 in Texas. That is the population of the size of Connecticut. So MASBA, we want to support the learning and leading to advance the student and the communities across the state of Texas. And, give the resources to trustees. But my thing is, we also, all the underserved communities. So that's the Black and brown community as well. So we have similar issues, but I don't see any division. I mean, I hope I answered the question. That's the best way I can think of it, but I just wanted at least to give you the last data from the 2020 census.
Yeah, that's interesting that it's growing so fast. And, thankfully I wasn't around in the, whatever 1950s or 40s or maybe later, right, of some of the things that I hear have happened, such as the situation with the bus when you were a child, which is extremely sad and unfortunate and just crazy. But you look back, and at least me, and I'm not a historian by any means, but you look back and you see all that focus on race back then, and then as things change and continue to evolve, I didn't know if at some point we would all just be human beings, right? We'd all be.
I think that's it. I mean, you see the little, like my kids going to school, they're so diverse, and I really love seeing it. I don't think they see color, skin, anything. It's just, we're all the same.
Yep.
And eventually I hope.
I think our kids are great. I think policies, and there are some policies that still need work. So I'm going to answer Gary's question. Hopefully in 10, I don't know, still takes a while to affect change in policy. And it takes all voices working together, all hands together. Hands on deck. Yeah. But that might be another great podcast that we have maybe former and current presidents of MASBA, some from the Black Caucus, and just like what does the future look like? When will we not? Is there a space to say that we no longer need that work? I'm thinking about being a woman, a leader as a woman, and I can't imagine a time where I wouldn't need to be part of an organization that just supports women, because I just can't imagine not having that. So I don't know if that answers your question, Gary, but I don't know that those groups are considered divisive in any way. I feel very fortunate when I get to go to a MASBA event or the Texas Alliance of Black School Educators.
Or the Black Caucus,
The Black Caucus. I mean, when I'm there, I never feel any sort of way other than just so thankful that people have a space to be able to be in a shared space, understand their stories and their backgrounds. So I feel like it's a great conversation that we might pitch for another podcast, because what would that look like? Is there a time when I would say that we wouldn't need organizations that are just supporting women or women of color, or any marginalized group? And I don't know, I feel like that might not happen in my lifetime.
I'm always very optimistic, but what I can say is that I don't know how long it'll take, but just a couple of years ago, I guess, just in my district, we finally got our first equity, diversity, and inclusion department. So, and a lot of local districts a lot of districts in the state of Texas, I don't know, it's been a few years since they even made a department for that. So how long is it going to take,
Yeah. And so I picture like the situation where it was decades ago, and, hopefully it's gotten a little bit better over the years, but you need a leader, whether it's an organization or a person, to kind of guide people through that to, create a better outcome. And who knows, maybe we get on the other side of that eventually. I don't know. Maybe it's something that as a society we struggle with forever, but hopefully we eventually get to a point where, hey, we all love each other, because we're all brothers and sisters.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I call our Black Caucus, Texas Caucus of Black School Board members too. Our brothers and sisters of the Texas Caucus of Black School Board members. And so I agree. I hope one day we get there, but we'll see. Like everyone, because the Asian community is growing, So just about 4 years ago, the SBOE finally passed Mexican American Studies TEKS.
Mhm.
And it was really difficult to even name it the Mexican American Studies. And then right after it was approved, it opened doors to the African American Studies TEKS, Asian American Studies TEKS. So, I mean, hopefully we're still making progress and making steps towards really getting to that place, right? So.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
lied and said I'd give Gary the last question, but I'm gonna give the last question. Since you were so optimistic, dear Anna,
Oh my
why don't we
gosh.
plan on you running for governor, and then I plan your parties, or I'll be your policy guru. And then Gary can be our business analyst, and we can just decide right now today that we'll make it
Do
work.
it. Well, funny story. I actually was a little girl in the Rio Grande Valley, and I really needed to talk to the governor back then. And it was Governor Ann Richards. She was a female. I was like, she was my inspiration. And, I was a little girl, 10 or 12, and my mom actually got a ride for someone to take us to, it was the Valley Interfaith event. Anyways, I saw her, I got lost. I'm like, my parents are there, my mom's here, but it's my only chance. I went towards her, squeezed in through security, and I finally told her what I needed to tell her. I wish I would remember right before she got in her car. And then I go, I want to be like you. I did tell her that. Well, she did tell me, don't get married and don't have kids. I was like,
She did not say that.
She did.
We've got to talk about that on in one of my sessions.
Okay.
With women, because I love some of her quotes, but I don't know if I would tell a young girl that.
I know, I was like, a little Hispanic, Latina little girl, just thinking, I mean, that's what you look forward to when you grow up, your wedding dress, and then for her, I don't know, she was probably joking, but.
Well, there's some way, that's like two, now we need you back on 3 other podcasts. And one of them needs to just be Gary just sitting there, because he has 3 daughters. So he's yeah. So
okay,
sure
wait. We'll help you, Gary. Don't worry.
You got it.
I need all the help I could get.
Yes, he has a beautiful wife and 3 daughters, and so we have great hope that all of our daughters will have brighter futures. But exactly. Anna, it's the best day to have you on today. This is the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month, and I didn't even realize that. It just goes to show like the beauty of our podcast and how the timing works. And so
I love it. And then my birthday's in 2 days on Hispanic Heritage.
Oh,
happy birthday.
Happy early birthday. And
thank you.
I just thank you for taking time out of your very structured schedule, because I know that you are needed in so many spaces and places. And thanks for sharing your voice and your story with us today. Thank you.
Likewise, thanks for your time and having this space for everyone to be able to share their stories, and it will help and inspire other people as well. So thank you so much, Corinne and Gary. You guys are amazing.
Thank you, Anna. And before we close out, just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Ideal Impact. Ideal Impact is giving funding to school districts. They've given $1.5 billion so far. The goal is $10 billion. It's in the form of a free gift. And it's all about helping districts be good stewards of tax dollars and optimizing those systems that use energy. And it's tracked, it's guaranteed, and it doesn't cost the district anything out of pocket. So if you are facing an equity situation, or maybe there's some other funding need, or maybe you just want to make it where your teachers don't have to buy school supplies that year, whatever it may be, reach out to Ideal Impact or reach out to me and I'll get you connected. Thanks again, and stay tuned for future episodes.
Thank you.